I descended through the bruised violet of Earth's twilight, my cloaked scout pod slicing the air like a whisper. From orbit, this world had looked fragile, a cracked marble of blue and rust wrapped in storms. The directorate had been clear. Observation only. Assess. Do not interfere. Humanity was a Class 7 civilization, violent, emotional, pre-logic. Their extinction, the analysts predicted, was statistically inevitable within 4 generations. My mission was to confirm the timeline so the coalition could claim the planet cleanly after their self-destruction. A mercy, really. A quiet inheritance. I felt nothing but professional pity. I chose a landing site far from their cities, an ancient deciduous forest in what the humans call the Pacific Northwest. The air here was thick with resin and wet soil, alien to my lung fronds. I adjusted my mimic skin to approximate their pale northern phenotype, though the proportions still felt wrong. Too much softness, too little exoskeletal grace. My name is unpronounceable in their throat. The closest translation is Kael'tharyx. They would shorten it to something clumsy. I expected that. I expected everything. I did not expect him. He stepped from the trees at dawn, carrying an axe older than some of their nations. Broad-shouldered, bearded, eyes the color of storm clouds over water. Flannel shirt, torn jeans, boots caked in mud. A woodcutter. Primitive, predictable. He stopped when he saw me. Any rational species would have screamed, fled, or attacked. Instead, he tilted his head, studied the faint shimmer where my cloak had not quite compensated for the low light, and said very calmly, "You're not from around here." The directness was obscene. No ritual greeting, no deference, no fear display. Just fact. My training screamed, maintain distance, observe social hierarchy, never engage without establishing dominance. I answered anyway. "No, I am not." He nodded once, as if that settled something, and went back to splitting logs. The axe rose and fell in perfect, brutal arcs. Each impact rang through the clearing like a war drum. I stood there for 9 minutes, long enough for any civilized being to realize they were being ignored and leave. He never looked up again until the pile was neat and high. Then he wiped his brow and said, "Coffee's hot if you want some. Figure you might be cold, coming from wherever." Coffee, a mildly toxic bean infusion. I had read the files. I should have refused. Instead, I followed him into the cabin. His name was Elias. For 3 weeks, I watched him the way a surgeon watches a tumor, fascinated, clinical, waiting for malignancy to declare itself. He fed me. He spoke little. When he did, it was about the grain of wood, the sound a tree makes when it dies, the way his wife used to laugh before the cancer took her. He never asked what I was. He seemed to decide it didn't matter. I told myself I was gathering data. Then came the morning the sky fell. We were walking the ridge trail, my idea. I wished to map escape vectors, when the child appeared. A human girl, perhaps 5 solar cycles, running blind through the underbrush. Behind her, the forest burned. A logging machine had ruptured its fuel cell. Flames leapt 30 meters high, racing upslope on a wind that smelled of pitch and death. Elias froze. I calculated. Wind speed 42 kilometers per hour. Fire front advancing 18 meters per second. The child had perhaps 20 seconds before the heat flash cooked her lungs. My personal shield could protect 1 adult-sized organism, maybe 2 if I overrode safety limits. Protocol: do not reveal technology. Do not intervene. Let the species cull its weak. The girl saw us and screamed Elias's name. He ran, not away, toward her. I have replayed the next 6 seconds 10,000 times. He sprinted straight into the fire's path. No hesitation, no strategy. The girl stumbled, fell. Flames licked her shoes. Elias reached her, scooped her into his arms, and kept running, directly into the inferno's heart, because that was the shortest distance to the river on the far side. I stood in perfect silence, the kind of silence that happens right before the universe breaks. Then I moved. I overrode every failsafe. I dropped the cloak, lunged forward on all four true limbs, skin flashing, warning crimson. My shield flared wide enough to swallow a shuttlecraft. Heat that should have flayed me to bone washed over the field and vanished. I reached them in 3 strides. Elias was already burning, his shirt aflame, hair smoking, skin blistering. But he would not drop the child. He roared something, her name, I think, and hurled her forward, clear of the flames, into my arms. The girl was light, fragile, screaming. Elias looked at me then, eyes full of fire and pain and something ancient. "Save her," he rasped. "Not me, her." And he smiled, a terrible, gentle smile. Then he turned back toward the fire, drawing it after him, away from us. I could have saved them both. My shield had capacity. I did not. Because in that moment I understood. If I dragged him out, he would never forgive me for choosing his life over his choice. So I carried the child to safety and watched a human being walk into hell with open eyes, because love, for them, is apparently heavier than survival. The fire took him in less than 4 seconds. I knelt in the ash with the sobbing child and felt something inside my primary heart rupture. Later, hours, days, I sat on his porch with the girl asleep against my side. The authorities came. They asked questions I answered with lies that tasted like truth. They never suspected what I was. They only saw a quiet stranger who had pulled a miracle from the flames. The girl's name was Lily. She was Elias's niece. He had no children of his own. I filed my report to the directorate that night. I told them everything. I told them humanity was not a dying species addicted to self-destruction. I told them we had misclassified them entirely. They are not Class 7. They are Class 1. Because only a Class 1 civilization produces individuals willing to trade their only life for another's without calculation, without reward, without even the promise that their species will remember their name. They are capable of anything. Of genocide, yes. Of atrocity, certainly. But also of this. I recommended immediate full diplomatic recognition, alliance, mutual defense pact, whatever it costs. The directorate argued for weeks. I waited on the porch of a dead man's cabin, teaching a 5-year-old how to whittle ducks from cedar, answering her questions about stars. Eventually the vote came, 11-9 in favor of contact, the closest margin in coalition history. On the day the first official delegation ship enters Earth orbit, I will be standing in that clearing, holding Lily's hand. She will be taller. I will no longer wear a human shape unless I choose to. And when the directorate asks why I betrayed 4 centuries of doctrine for one woodcutter sacrifice, I will tell them what I learned in Fire and Ash. You do not conquer a species that can love like this. You beg them to let you stand beside them, before they decide the galaxy itself is a child worth running into the flames to save. Elias was wrong about one thing. He does have a child. She just happens to have 4 arms, violet blood, and a diplomatic immunity that spans 12 sectors. And every night when she is finally asleep, I sit on the porch and listen to the wind in the trees that will never again feel his axe. I used to believe superiority was measured in technology, lifespan, logic. Now I know the only metric that matters is this. When the universe burns, which way do you run? Humans still don't have the answer. They just already chose.